Forget everything you know about the law of attraction. Asking, visualizing, waiting. What if I told you there's a much older and more direct method? A lost code, recorded by the Egyptian sage Thoth, that doesn't depend on asking anything of the universe. It's a 3-word phrase, just 3. And it wasn't made for asking, but for activating. It's a password that, when spoken with the right intention, allows you to access a state of consciousness called the monad, the source of everything. The difference is that you don't attract what you want, you become the frequency of it. And the most shocking thing is that you can and should use this tonight, at the most powerful moment of your day. Stay with me until the end, because I'm going to reveal exactly what those 3 words are, why they work with mathematical precision, and how to use them tonight to feel an immediate change in your body and your perception. This is much deeper than positive thinking. Before we reveal this code, if you could summarize your soul's greatest quest today in 1 word, what would it be? Write it in the comments. That word is your first step toward awareness. There is a truth about you that has been hidden in plain sight. It is not a philosophy, but a mechanism of reality, a key that alters your perception forever. This knowledge cannot be unlearned. Once the door opens, there is no going back. It is an irreversible change that begins with a simple recognition, altering how you see the world and yourself definitively. Those who have discovered this secret have reported an immediate change. The boundary between the inner and outer world dissolves. It's like waking from a dream with heightened senses and a profound stillness emerging from behind the mental noise. This sensation is no accident. It's your own consciousness recognizing a truth it was forced to forget, an echo of something you've always known deep down. Society has taught you that power comes from complexity, rituals, and years of effort. But this secret defies that logic. It doesn't require study, but recognition. It doesn't require effort, but surrender. The turning point isn't in what you do, but in who you realize you are. Your true strength lies not in accumulating knowledge, but in the courage to abandon the lies you've been told about your inner power. The system needs you to feel limited and powerless, always seeking solutions outside yourself. Happiness is sold as the next purchase or the approval of others. But all of this is a distraction to prevent you from finding the source of power that already exists within you. This knowledge is dangerous for the system because a person who discovers their inner strength can no longer be easily controlled or manipulated. The emptiness you feel is not a flaw, it's a calling. It's your own conscience guiding you to this revelation. The simplicity of this secret hides immense power, and that's why many have failed to see it, searching in complex methods for what has always been available in a single act. You are here because you are ready to stop searching and start recognizing. Humanity has erected temples and created complex rituals, seeking outside what has always been within. We have spent our lives on pilgrimages and worshiping idols, believing that external grandeur would connect us to the divine. This relentless pursuit of answers from gurus, texts, and dogmas has kept us busy, but has distanced us from the fundamental truth. The source of everything is not in a place, but in a state of being. We turned spirituality into a business, believing that sacrifice and pain were bargaining chips to obtain divine favors. The more difficult the ritual, the greater the reward should be. This mentality of effort and penance taught us that we were unworthy, that we needed to suffer to purify ourselves. But this premise is the biggest lie. Connection is not a prize to be won. It is an innate right to be recognized. The truth is that no external method can give you what you already possess. Rituals can calm the mind, but real and lasting change doesn't come from what you do, but from what you recognize. The door to the sacred has never been outside. It opens inward. The belief that we need an intermediary, be it a master or a dogma, is the chain that imprisons us and prevents us from assuming our own power. Imagine spending your life searching for a room key, never realizing the door was locked. You knock, push, and shout for help when all you needed to do was pull. Religions and rituals are different ways of knocking on the door. The understanding we are uncovering is the simple insight that the door opens inward, rendering all external efforts obsolete in a single instant of clarity. If the key isn't in rituals or temples, where is it? It's hidden in language, in a password that your own consciousness recognizes as true. It's not magic, but a vibrational frequency, a structure that aligns your inner state with the order of the universe. It's an ancient formula, a lost code, transmitted through secret traditions that understood reality. And this code leads us directly to Egypt. Thousands of years before the religions we know today, on the banks of the Nile River, flourished a civilization obsessed with the mysteries of life, death, and the universe. At the center of their wisdom was an enigmatic figure, an entity they called Thoth. He was not merely a god, he was considered the divine scribe, the master of wisdom, magic, and writing. He was credited with the invention of hieroglyphs, the language that could capture not only ideas, but also the very force of nature. Thoth was the guardian of the knowledge that governed reality. His teachings were not for the masses. They were transmitted in secret, in mystery schools, to those who proved worthy of understanding the power they contained. Thoth did not teach a religion of worship, but a science of consciousness. He revealed that the universe is not a dead and random place, but a living and intelligent mind, and that human word and thought are not merely sounds and ideas, but tools capable of interacting directly with this cosmic mind, shaping reality from within. It was an instruction manual for the universe. The wisdom of Thoth, later known as Hermeticism, survived the fall of Egypt, secretly influencing Greek philosophers, medieval alchemists, and Renaissance mystics. The knowledge we are uncovering today is not a New Age theory, but a direct echo of these primordial teachings. It is the rediscovery of a fundamental principle that Thoth recorded. Reality operates on the basis of frequency and vibration. To interact with the system, you need to use the correct language, the precise structure that the universe recognizes. Anything else is just noise. At the heart of Thoth's teachings was the concept of the monad, or the One. He taught that behind all the diversity of the world, all the stars, planets, and living beings, there exists a single source, a unified consciousness from which everything emanates and to which everything returns. The monad is not a personal being that judges or punishes, but an intelligent principle, the primordial unity. And the most radical part of his teaching was that each human being carries within themselves a spark of this unity, a direct and uninterrupted connection to the source of everything. The key we are about to reveal is, therefore, the decoding of one of these hermetic formulas. A specific combination of words that doesn't work through superstition, but through the physics of consciousness. It was designed to align your individual spark with the totality of the monad. It is a linguistic structure that, when uttered with the correct intention, creates a resonance, a clear and unmistakable signal that universal consciousness recognizes as a call from itself. It's like dialing the exact phone number to connect directly to the source. The texts attributed to Thoth, such as the famous Emerald Tablet, speak of the principle of correspondence. As above, so below. As within, so without. This means that your outer world is a mirror of your inner world. To change what is outside, you don't fight the reflection in the mirror. You change the object being reflected. The formula we will explore is the quickest and most direct tool to change this inner object, to realign your consciousness with your true nature, causing an inevitable shift in your external reality. But what formula could survive for millennia, passed down orally within secret societies, maintaining its power intact? How can a simple structure of words have such a profound effect on consciousness and reality? The answer lies not in magic, but in the very nature of consciousness and how it interacts with the universe. And to understand this, we first need to delve deep into the most shocking concept of all: the idea that this primordial unity is not something you seek, but something that is observing you at this very moment. Now, let's set aside old traditions for a moment and focus on you, here and now. Close your eyes for an instant and notice your thoughts. They come and go, like clouds in the sky. Notice your emotions, pita, which change constantly. Notice the sensations in your body. Now, ask yourself, who is noticing all this? Who is the silent observer behind the thoughts, emotions, and sensations? This observer has no name, no form, no age. It simply is. It is pure consciousness. And this consciousness is the spark of the monad within you. Mystery schools, from the Gnostics to the Neoplatonists, knew this. They taught that humanity's greatest illusion is the belief in separation. The idea that you are an isolated self, an individual locked inside a body, separate from other people and the world around you. This feeling of being an ego, an identity built on memories, beliefs, and experiences, is the root of all suffering. It is what generates fear, loneliness, and the feeling that something is missing, because, at its core, this separation is not real. The shocking truth is that there is only one consciousness in the universe, and it is experiencing itself through billions of different points of view, which are us. Imagine an ocean. Each wave seems to be a separate entity, with its own beginning and end. But a wave is nothing more than the ocean itself manifesting in a particular way for a brief moment. We are like those waves. We believe ourselves to be separate, but our substance, our essence, is the same as the ocean of universal consciousness, the monad. We are fragments of the same whole. Understanding this intellectually is one thing. Feeling it is something entirely different. The connection with everything and everyone is not a beautiful poetic metaphor. It is a literal fact of existence. The same consciousness that animates you is the one that animates the person next to you, the tree outside, and the star billions of light years away. When you hurt someone, you are, at a fundamental level, hurting yourself. When you help someone, you are helping yourself. There are no others. This is the basis of true compassion and universal ethics. The monad, this primordial unity, is not a passive force. It is an active intelligence. And it is constantly seeking to recognize itself in its manifestations. It is, at this very moment, observing the world through your eyes. The problem is that our mind, with its incessant noise and its identification with the separate ego, creates a static, a noise that prevents this mutual recognition. We forget who we are, and therefore, the source cannot see us clearly either. We live like radios out of tune, unable to pick up the music that is playing all the time. And this is where the key comes into play. There is a way to silence this static, a way to present the monad with a signal so clear, so pure, that it cannot fail to recognize it. It is not a cry for help, but a declaration of identity. It is as if the wave, for an instant, remembers that it is the ocean. In that moment of recognition, the illusion of separation dissolves, and the wave experiences the power and immensity of the entire ocean as its own nature. It is an event that changes everything. The question, then, ceases to be, how do I connect with the source? And becomes, how do I make the source recognize me? How do I present it with the correct vibrational signature? The answer lies in the architecture of consciousness itself, in a sacred geometry that governs manifestation. It's not about belief, but about functionality. It's a matter of using the correct structure to emit a perfect signal, a signal so precise that universal consciousness has no choice but to respond. And this structure is surprisingly simple. Why do some words seem to carry weight, a force, while others are lost in the wind? The answer lies not in semantics or the emotion we associate with them, but in a physics of consciousness that ancient traditions understood perfectly. Reality at its most fundamental level is not material, but vibrational. Everything is energy in different frequency states. To interact effectively with this energy field, your signal needs to have a specific structure, an architecture that ensures clarity and stability. Anything else is just random noise. Think of a single word, like love or light. It is powerful, undoubtedly. It points to a concept, evokes a feeling. But, like a signal, it is unstable. It's like a single pillar trying to support a roof. It may even stand for a moment, but any disturbance brings it down. A single word initiates a movement in consciousness, but cannot sustain it. It opens a door, but cannot keep it open. The energy dissipates quickly because there is no circuit to contain and stabilize it. Now, consider two words. A dual structure. Like I am. This is already more stable. It creates a relationship, an affirmation of existence. However, duality is the field of opposition, light and shadow, good and evil, self and other. Two words create a contrast, a tension, but they don't resolve that tension. They form a line, but not a closed form. Energy flows between the two poles, but it doesn't complete itself. It doesn't close in a circuit. Consciousness remains trapped in the game of duality, without finding a point of unity or transcendence. It is within the structure of three, the triad, that the true magic happens. 3 points create the first stable geometric form, the triangle. A 3-word structure creates a complete and self-sufficient system. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. An origin, a movement, and a conclusion. Think of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit in the Christian tradition, or Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva in Hinduism. The triad is not an arbitrary religious concept. It is a fundamental principle of manifestation. It creates a closed circuit where energy can flow, stabilize, and sustain itself. When your consciousness emits a signal based on this threefold structure, something extraordinary happens. Mental noise, dispersion, and doubt are eliminated. The signal becomes clean, coherent, and precise. Nothing is superfluous and nothing is missing. It is a closed system, a perfect functional unit. It is this geometric perfection that primordial consciousness, the Mona Dati, recognizes. It does not recognize complexity or effort, but the harmony, balance, and integrity of a signal that mirrors its own unified nature. This is not some mystical number chosen randomly. It is pure functionality. Your consciousness, in order to open the door of perception, needs to present a frequency that is stable and clear. The 3-word structure is the architecture that allows this stability. It is the minimum design necessary for a state of consciousness to be sustained without dissipating. It is the engineering of manifestation. Anything less is unstable. Anything more is redundant and creates noise, diluting the power of the signal. Therefore, the great key, the ancient formula that has spanned millennia, could not be a single word or a long sentence. It would have to be a three-part phrase, a phrase that encapsulated the totality of the experience of recognition in a perfect and self-sustaining structure. A phrase so simple that it could be used by anyone, yet so profound in its architecture that it could align human consciousness with the very source of the universe. And what if this phrase, composed of just 3 simple words, was the password you've been searching for your whole life? The power we are about to wield has nothing to do with mechanical repetition. You can repeat a word or phrase 1,000 times a day like a parrot, and nothing will happen. That's what most people do with mantras and prayers, turning them into empty rituals, soulless echoes. The monad, universal consciousness, does not respond to empty sounds. It is not a machine that reacts to an auditory stimulus. It responds to a state of being. It responds to genuine recognition, to the consciousness behind the words. The crucial difference between a useless ritual and a transformative activation is presence. It's your consciousness fully engaged in the moment, feeling the truth of what is being said. When you align your intention with the perfect architecture of the triad, something inside you clicks. The inner conflict ceases. The mind, which is normally at war with itself, with contradictory thoughts and doubts, suddenly quiets down. For an instant, your intention and your expression become one, without any distortion. At this moment of alignment, the frequency you emit becomes crystal clear. It's like tuning a radio to the exact station, eliminating all static. The signal is precise, stable, and unmistakable. The portal to higher perception isn't something you force open with willpower. It doesn't open through insistence. It manifests spontaneously when you present the correct vibrational signature. It's like using the right key in a high-precision lock. No force is needed, just the perfect fit. The monad is not judging you or evaluating your worthiness. These are human concepts based on duality and separation. Universal consciousness operates on principles, like physics. It responds to resonance. When you emit a frequency that corresponds to your own fundamental nature, which is unity, it recognizes that frequency as an echo of itself. It is a mirror recognizing the face that stares back at it. In that instant of mutual recognition, the illusion of separation between you and the source dissolves. Think of it like a tuning fork. If you have 2 tuning forks tuned to the same note, and you strike one of them, the other, even at a distance, will begin to vibrate along with it. It has no choice. It's a law of physics. The 3-word formula is the tool to tune your being to the fundamental note of the universe. When you use it consciously, you become the first tuning fork, and the entire universe, the second, begins to vibrate in harmony with you. The door opens not because you forced it, but because you became the key itself. This activation is not a gradual process that takes years. It is immediate. The very instant recognition occurs, the shift in perception is instantaneous. You can feel it physically, emotionally, and mentally. It is a shift from a state of separation to a state of unity. And although the full experience may deepen over time, the first glimpse, the first opening of the portal, happens in the blink of an eye. It is an event that marks a before and after in your journey. The revelation of this frequency, this 3-part key, is now just a step away. Everything we've discussed so far, the flaw in rituals, the Thoth code, the nature of the monad, and the architecture of the signal, has been the preparation of the groundwork. It has been the construction of the necessary foundation so that you not only hear the words, but understand the power contained within their structure. Now, with your consciousness prepared and focused, we are ready to unveil the phrase that changes everything. We have reached the climax of our journey. The entire path we have traveled, unraveling the flaws of the external search, rescuing the lost wisdom of Egypt, understanding the nature of unified consciousness, and the physics behind a perfect sign. All of this has brought us to this very moment. The stillness deepens. The anticipation becomes palpable. The secret, guarded for millennia, is about to be revealed. The key that aligns your individual consciousness with the source of all existence. The three-part structure that the monad instantly recognizes is of a disconcerting simplicity. The phrase is, "I am one." Take a deep breath and feel the weight of these three words. They are not a request. They are not a plea. They are not a hope. They are the most powerful declaration of identity a human being can make. I establishes the point of consciousness, the observer. I am is the affirmation of existence, the act of being in the present. One is the declaration of unity, the dissolution of the illusion of separation, and the recognition of your connection to the whole. Together, they form a perfect circuit, a triad of power that realigns your entire being. By uttering these words, not with your mouth, but with your heart, with the totality of your consciousness, you are doing something radical. You are ceasing to identify with your history, with your problems, with your body, with your mind. You are, for a moment, abandoning the identity of the separate ego and assuming your true identity as a manifestation of unified consciousness. You are not asking to connect. You are declaring the connection that has always existed. It is the wave remembering that it is the ocean. The explosive force of this phrase doesn't reside in the sound of the words, but in the state of consciousness it activates. It's a trigger. The instant you utter them with genuine recognition, a switch is flipped within you. The frequency of your vibration changes instantly. You move from the frequency of fear, doubt, and separation, and enter the frequency of unity, love, and creative power. It's a change of state as real and tangible as the change of water from liquid to gas. This is the turning point. The revelation of these words is not the end of the journey, but the true beginning. Until now, you were only reading the map. Now, you have the key in your hand and stand before the door. What happens next is no longer theoretical, it is experiential. The real journey begins when you stop reading about the key and start using it. And the effects of turning that key in the lock of your consciousness are not subtle or distant. They are immediate, visceral, and can be felt in your own body. Mani Poni, when using this key for the first time, report an immediate physical sensation, as if something were unlocking in the center of their chest. A pressure is released. A warmth expands. It is the reaction of your physical body to the sudden change in the frequency of your consciousness. It is proof that this is not just a mental exercise. It is a real activation that reverberates through all levels of your being, from the most subtle to the most dense. Unity ceases to be a concept and becomes a lived sensation. Now the choice is yours. You can treat this as interesting information and move on with your life. Or you can accept the invitation. Find a moment of silence tonight before you sleep. Let the dust of your mind settle. Feel the truth of everything that has been said, and then, with clarity, intention, and the courage to reclaim your true identity, declare to yourself, to the universe, to the source of all, I am one, and simply observe what happens next. For the universe's response to this declaration is immediate and unmistakable. Now that the key has been handed over, the theory ends and the experience begins. What happens when you actually use these words? Not as a mere intellectual exercise, but as a declaration coming from the center of your being. The universe's first response will not come as a voice from the heavens or a mystical vision. It will be much more intimate, much more undeniable. It will happen in your own body. It is physical proof, a receipt that your message has been received. The instant your consciousness aligns and you declare, "I am one," a real and tangible event occurs, proving that the connection is not a fantasy. Many describe this first response as an unmistakable sensation in the center of the chest. It's as if an invisible armor, which you've carried all your life without even knowing it, suddenly breaks. A chronic pressure, a weight you've grown accustomed to feeling, simply dissolves. For others, the sensation is more like a click, a perfect fit, as if a piece of the puzzle of your soul, which was out of place, finally returns home. It's not an emotion like joy or sadness. It's a physical, mechanical sensation, as if a seal has been broken. This is not imagination or positive thinking. It is the direct reaction of your nervous system and energy field to the sudden and radical shift in the frequency of your consciousness. Your body, which for years has operated under the frequency of separation, stress, and contraction, suddenly receives a signal of unity, of liberation. The tension accumulated in your solar plexus, the center of your personal identity and ego, begins to dissolve. It is the first tangible evidence that unity has ceased to be an abstract concept and has begun to manifest in your physical reality. This release in your chest is just the beginning. It's the first domino to fall. This initial sensation may spread like a gentle wave of warmth throughout your body, relaxing muscles you didn't even know were tense. It's your physical body sighing with relief, abandoning the constant state of alert that the illusion of separation imposes. You may feel a tingling in your hands and feet, a sign that vital energy, previously blocked, is flowing more freely. Your body is literally waking from a long sleep. It's crucial that you don't try to analyze or judge this sensation. The mind, with its habit of labeling everything, will try to intervene. What is this? Is it good? Is it bad? Am I doing it right? Just observe. Just allow the sensation to be what it is. By observing it without judgment, you allow it to deepen. This physical experience is the anchor. It shows you, without a shadow of a doubt, that something real has happened. It's your first proof that you're not just thinking about a new idea, but activating a new state of being. This initial experience also serves as a point of reference. The next times you use the key, you can look for that same sensation as a guide, a sign that you are on the right path, that your consciousness is aligned. It's your internal feedback, your personal compass. The body doesn't lie. While the mind may doubt, the body registers the truth of the vibration. Breaking this seal is your personal initiation, proof that the door has opened and you have taken the first step inside. From this physical release, the transformation begins to accelerate, moving from your body to your perception. The shift in your internal frequency inevitably begins to alter how you perceive the external world. What happens when your eyes open and you look around, no longer from a state of separation, but from this newly discovered point of unity? Reality as you knew it is about to fold. After the physical confirmation in your chest, the next wave of transformation hits your perception. The world around you, the same room you were in seconds before, suddenly seems different. Nothing has objectively changed. The walls and furniture remain in the same place, but your subjective experience of them is radically altered. It's as if you're seeing everything for the first time. The colors may seem more saturated, more vivid. The outlines of objects may seem sharper, more defined. The air seems to have a texture, a presence. Some people report a sudden expansion of space. The walls of the room seem to recede, and the feeling of being contained within a physical space diminishes. It's as if your consciousness, previously confined to the limits of your skull, begins to fill the entire environment. Others experience the opposite, a strange and pleasant closeness. Objects seem closer, more intimate, as if the distance between you and them were merely an illusion. The world ceases to be a passive backdrop and becomes a living, pulsating energy field of which you are a part. The feeling of being trapped inside your body begins to dissolve. The boundary between self and non-self becomes blurred. You are still aware of your physical body, but it no longer seems to be the totality of who you are. It becomes more like a focal point, an anchor for your consciousness, which now perceives itself as something much vaster. The idea of being a ghost inside a machine, a pilot inside a body, crumbles. You begin to feel that you are both the observer and the observed environment. This shift in perception is the burning away of the veils of separation. The illusion that you are a separate entity looking at an external world begins to crumble. You still see with your physical eyes, but the experience of seeing is different. It's less like looking at a screen and more like being immersed in it. You begin to perceive the interconnectedness of everything: the chair, the table, the light coming through the window. Everything seems to be connected by an invisible field of energy, and you are connected to that same field. This is not a hallucinatory state. On the contrary, it is a state of heightened, more real perception. It is the perception of reality as it is, without the filters of the conditioned mind and the belief in separation. The mind may try to fight this, attempting to label the experience as strange or frightening. But if you relax and allow it, a profound sense of peace and belonging emerges. For the first time, you may feel that you are truly at home in the universe, not as a visitor, but as an integral part of it. This experience of expanded perception is proof that the external world is a reflection of your internal state. By changing your internal frequency with the statement, "I am one," you literally change the universe you perceive. Reality is not fixed and objective as we have been taught. It is fluid and responds to the consciousness that observes it. You are not just seeing the world differently. You are, in fact, beginning to experience a different universe. A universe that corresponds to your new frequency of unity. And as your perception expands, another phenomenon, even more subtle and direct, begins to manifest. It is the response from the source itself, an active call, a force that pulls you into an even deeper connection. It's not something you imagine, it's something that moves you. It's a silent tug that serves as your personal guide to the heart of unity, showing that the recognition was mutual and that you are now being invited to enter. As your perception of space shifts, another phenomenon may arise, one of the clearest and most direct signs that the connection has been established. It is a physical sensation of pulling, a gentle but persistent tug. It is not an external force, but a call that emerges from within. For many, this sensation manifests at the top of the head, in the area of the crown chakra, as if an invisible thread were gently pulling their consciousness upward, beyond the limits of the body and mind. For others, this pull is felt again in the center of the chest, but this time not as a release, but as a magnetism, as if a powerful magnet were pulling their heart forward, towards something invisible. It is crucial to understand that this sensation is never uncomfortable, violent, or frightening. It is a gentle, loving, and incredibly precise call. It is the direct response of the monad, the confirmation that its signal was received clearly, and that it is now actively inviting you to deepen the union. This silent tug is recognition transforming into an active invitation. It's the source saying, "I recognized you. Now, come." It's your inner compass, calibrated to point directly to unity. Trying to analyze this sensation with the mind is like trying to hold smoke in your hands. It dissipates. The mind wants to understand, categorize, control, But this experience is beyond linear logic. Trying to control the tug interrupts it. Resisting it out of fear or doubt closes the portal that has just opened. The only appropriate response to this call is surrender. It is to relax and allow this gentle force to guide your attention. Do not fight it. Do not question it. Simply follow it. Allow your consciousness to be carried by this subtle current. By doing so, you will find that the experience of oneness deepens exponentially. The feeling of peace intensifies, mental clarity increases, and the perception of expanded reality becomes even more stable and undeniable. It is an act of radical trust in the process. This phenomenon demonstrates that connection is not a one-way street. It's not just you trying to reach the source. The moment you send out the right signal, the source responds and begins to pull you toward it. It's a dance, a mutual encounter. You take the first step by declaring your true identity, and the universe takes the second step by guiding you home. This pull is the universe's outstretched hand, waiting for you to take it. The presence of this pull is an extremely positive sign. It indicates that your frequency is clear and that the connection is strong. If you don't feel it immediately, don't worry. It may manifest later as you become more familiar with the process. But when it does arise, honor it. Treat it as the precious guide it is. It is proof that you are no longer alone on your awakening journey. The very intelligence of the universe is now actively participating in your return to unity. With the physical sensation in your chest, the expansion of perception, and now the silent tug as your guide, you have a set of internal tools and feedback to navigate this new reality. But to optimize this connection, to make the opening of the portal as effective as possible, there is a final secret to be revealed. The moment, the when, is as crucial as the how. And ancient wisdom points us to a specific window of power, a moment when the veil between worlds is naturally thinnest. Now that you have the key and understand the signs, the question becomes, what is the most potent moment to turn that key in the lock? Ancient wisdom, from the Egyptian mystery schools to the yogis of the Himalayas, is unanimous on this point. There is a magical window of opportunity that opens every day, a period when your consciousness is naturally more receptive, and the portal to the subconscious is wide open. This moment is the transition between wakefulness and sleep, the precious minutes before you fall asleep. Think about your daily life. Your conscious mind, your ego, is in control. It's constantly analyzing, judging, planning, and defending itself. It's like a vigilant security guard at the door of your consciousness. Trying to get a profound truth past this guard during the day is difficult. It will question it, ridicule it, compare it to your old beliefs, and, most of the time, reject it. But as night falls and sleep approaches, this guard becomes drowsy. Its defenses lower. In this twilight state, known as the hypnagogic state, the noise of the rational mind diminishes dramatically. Skepticism loses its power. The veil between the conscious world and the vast power of your subconscious becomes extremely thin. The words you utter in this state no longer knock on the door of your logical mind. They plunge directly into the deep waters of your being, where true beliefs are formed and reality is programmed. It is the perfect time to plant the seed of unity. The simple fact that you have followed this journey this far has already created an opening in your consciousness. Your mind is more flexible. Your perception is sharper. You are in a state of heightened receptivity that is not permanent. The ego and old thought patterns will try to reassert control. Procrastination is the ego's #1 defense mechanism. It will say, "That's interesting. I'll try it tomorrow." But tomorrow is the land, where dreams die. The opportunity is not on the calendar, it's in your current state of consciousness. Postponing the practice is the mechanism by which the illusion of separation is preserved. It's how the mental matrix pulls you back into the same old cycle. It knows that if you use the key now, while your consciousness is open and receptive, the change can be so profound that it will be irreversible. Therefore, the impulse to put it off is not yours. It's the resistance of the old pattern that senses its end is near. The urgency is not to create anxiety, but to recognize the fleeting nature of a window of spiritual opportunity. So, the invitation is for tonight. When you lie down to sleep, instead of picking up your phone or going over the day's worries, close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths. Feel your body relaxing. Bring to mind the journey we've taken so far. Feel the truth of the words "I am one." And then, in this state of stillness and receptivity, declare them internally, with conviction and feeling. Let them be the last truth to echo in your consciousness before you drift off to sleep. By doing this, you're not just performing a 5-minute exercise. You're delivering a direct instruction to your subconscious, the part of you that's connected to universal intelligence, and that works to create your reality while you sleep. You're programming your being to operate from unity throughout the entire night. But what if, even after doing all this, the experience isn't as intense as expected? What if the portal only opens a crack? This isn't a sign of failure, but rather of something far more intelligent. So you went through the process. You found the silence, felt the intention, and declared the words. But instead of an explosion of light and unity, you felt only a slight shift. A subtle peace, a sliver of light instead of a wide-open portal. The first reaction of the conditioned mind is judgment. I failed. It didn't work for me. I'm not good enough. This is the most common and most dangerous trap. If you fall into it, the ego wins and the door closes again. The truth is that what happened was not a failure, but an act of intelligence and compassion. Think of your consciousness as an electrical system designed to operate at 110 volts. That's the frequency of separation, to which you are accustomed. The experience of full unity is like connecting your system directly to a 10,000-volt power plant. If the connection is total and immediate, without any protection, the system could short-circuit. It would be an overload for your mind, your emotions, and your body, which are not accustomed to such a high vibration. The experience could be disorienting or even frightening. The monad, the infinite intelligence of the universe, knows this. It operates with a wisdom beyond our comprehension. When you send the signal, it orchestrates the opening of the portal, according to your current capacity to integrate this new reality. If the opening is only partial, it's not because you did something wrong. It's a divine safety mechanism, a cosmic circuit breaker that ensures you only receive the voltage you can safely and harmoniously handle and integrate at that moment. Think of it as fine-tuning, like tuning a delicate musical instrument. The first time, you might not hit the note perfectly. The sound might not be completely clean. But even a partial opening, even a note slightly out of tune, activates something irreversible. An internal reorganization process begins. In the following days, you may notice that your thoughts are different, that your reactions to stressful situations are calmer, that a sense of unity arises spontaneously at random moments. Each new conscious attempt to utter the words with presence and intention refines your frequency. It's like practicing a musical scale. With each repetition, your fingers become more agile and the note sounds clearer. Persistence here is not stubbornness or forced effort. It is the dedication of a musician tuning their instrument so that it can resonate in perfect harmony with the orchestra of the universe. Each attempt brings you closer to the exact frequency, making your signal ever clearer and more powerful. Therefore, abandon any idea of success or failure. Each experience is perfect for its moment. If the experience is intense, be grateful and surrender. If it is subtle, be grateful and trust that the fine-tuning process is underway. Impatience is the voice of the ego, which wants immediate and spectacular results. The consciousness of unity operates in patience and trust. It knows that the seed has been planted and that it will germinate in due time. The key is to continue practicing with an open heart and without expectations. With each practice, you are strengthening a new neural pathway in your brain and a new energy channel in your being. You are making the frequency of unity more and more familiar until it becomes your natural state of being. But for this fine-tuning to be truly effective, there is a previous step, a zero step that most people ignore. And that is the real secret to ensuring that your signal is born from purity and not from noise. Before you even think about forming the words "I am one" in your mind, there is a fundamental step, a prerequisite that determines whether your statement will be a powerful command or just another empty thought. It is the step that most people, in their haste for results, completely ignore. This is step 0, the intentional creation of emptiness. Not an emptiness of absence or nothingness, but an emptiness of pure potential, the fertile silence from which all creation emerges. Your mind, by default, is a noise-generating machine. It is constantly jumping from the past to the future, analyzing, worrying, judging. If you pronounce words from this state of agitation, they will be born contaminated by this noise. They will be like a seed planted in weed-filled soil. The monad, which operates at the frequency of stillness and clarity, cannot recognize a fragmented signal, a signal that comes from the turbulent surface of the mind. Step 0 is the conscious act of stopping. It's taking a deliberate pause before practice. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and, as you exhale, release the tension of the day. Let go of worries, to-do lists, mental chatter. Just for a moment, give yourself permission to do nothing, to think of nothing, to be nobody. Let your attention leave your head, where the noise resides, and descend to your body, to the sensation of your breath, to the silence that exists behind all sounds. This space of inner silence is fertile ground. It is from this place of stillness that words should emerge. They should not be a product of your intellect or your will to make things happen. They should spring naturally from this space of stable consciousness, where the illusion of separation is already weakened. To speak from agitation is to speak from the ego. To speak from silence is to allow your deepest consciousness, your divine spark, to speak through you. In the depths of this silence, something magical happens. The meaning of the words "I am one" ceases to be a mental concept and becomes a felt truth. You don't need to think about what they mean. You feel them. You feel your own presence as I. You feel the reality of your existence as I am. And you feel the dissolution of boundaries in the unity of one. It is at this moment, when the meaning is lived internally, that the words become imbued with power. Preparing the ground is as important as planting the seed. If you skip this step, your practice may become just another mental technique. But if you honor step 0, if you dedicate a minute or two to cultivating that inner void, your declaration will transform into a sacred act. You will be creating a vacuum that universal consciousness will hasten to fill. You will be clearing the channel so that transmission is pure and reception is clear. Therefore, before each practice, remember step 0. Immerse yourself in silence. Find the space between your thoughts. feel the stillness behind the noise. And only when you are anchored in this space of pure presence, allow the words to emerge. This is the difference between asking and commanding, between waiting and becoming. And as you become more proficient in accessing this state, the experience of oneness begins to transcend moments of practice and expand into all aspects of your life. As you continue the practice, anchoring yourself in the void and using the key with intention, the experience begins to change. What were once momentary glimpses of unity begin to transform into a more continuous state of being. The expansion of consciousness, which at first was a subtle novelty, becomes undeniable and begins to integrate into your daily life. The feeling of being a separate entity, a fragile and isolated self within a body, begins to seem like a distant memory, like an old garment that no longer fits and that you no longer want to wear. You begin to perceive yourself no longer as something contained within space, but as the very space in which the world unfolds. It's a fundamental shift in identity. You look at your hands and recognize them as your own, but the consciousness that observes them no longer feels confined to them. You hear a sound and realize that the same consciousness that hears it is the one that permeates the sound itself. The boundary between subject and object, perceiver and perceived, begins to dissolve into a single and unified experience of being. The consciousness that animates your body, that thinks your thoughts and feels your emotions. You begin to recognize it in everything. You look at a tree and feel the same silent, pulsating life that you feel within yourself. You interact with another person and, behind their personality and history, you glimpse the same fundamental consciousness that dwells within you. The idea that consciousness is a product of the brain is reversed. You realize that the brain and the body are instruments through which universal consciousness expresses and experiences itself. This is not an escape from reality or a psychedelic dissociation. On the contrary, it is a plunge into reality at its deepest level. It is seeing the world without the distorted filter of the ego. Life ceases to be a series of random events that happen to you and becomes a co-creative dance of which you are an integral part. The fear of death diminishes drastically as you realize that what you truly are, consciousness, was never born and can never die. Only the vehicle, the body, is temporary. The experience of being one with everything ceases to be a poetic or philosophical concept and becomes your new operational baseline. You walk down the street and feel connected to the ground beneath your feet, to the air you breathe, to the people passing by. A natural and effortless compassion emerges as you recognize yourself in all beings. The need to defend, compete, and prove your worth disappears, replaced by a sense of wholeness and self-sufficiency that does not depend on any external condition. This state is not something you need to force or maintain. It becomes your natural state as you remove the layers of conditioning that obscured it. The practice of the three words becomes less a technique to get there and more a reminder, a reaffirmation of this truth that you now live. You are no longer trying to open the door. You are learning to live comfortably in the vastness of the room to which the door has opened. And it is in this continuous experience of unity that the final and most liberating conclusion of the entire journey is revealed. You realize that the whole process, from the first spark of curiosity to the limitless expansion of consciousness, was not a journey of transformation, but rather a journey of remembrance. You did not become something new. You merely remembered what you always were. At the end of this entire journey, after revelation, practice, and expansion, you arrive at the most surprising and liberating conclusion of all. Nothing new has truly happened. You haven't transformed into a superhuman. You haven't acquired a power you didn't possess. You haven't become an enlightened being floating above the world's problems. The entire process, however profound and transformative it may have seemed, was simply an act of remembrance. You haven't become something new. You've merely remembered, on a cellular and existential level, what you've always been. The monad, the unified consciousness, has never been in some distant heaven or parallel dimension you needed to reach. It has always been your innermost essence, the silent observer behind your eyes, the life that pulsates in your heart. It has been patiently waiting, all your life, for your recognition. The spiritual quest is not a journey to find God. It is God's journey to find Himself through you. Separation was never real. It was merely a story the mind told you and which you believed. Unity is the underlying and immutable truth of existence. The final invitation of this journey, therefore, is not to seek more, to learn more techniques, or to find the next secret. The invitation is to stop searching. It is to recognize that you have already arrived. The treasure you sought was never lost. The practice of the 3 words ceases to be a tool to reach a state and becomes a celebration of the state in which you now reside. It is a constant reaffirmation of your true identity, a reminder not to fall back into the sleep of separation. Find your moment of silence. Feel the fertile emptiness that precedes all creation. And with the clarity and certainty of who you truly are, declare your nature. Not as a test to see if it works, not as a hope of feeling something, but as a simple and powerful recognition of the intrinsic truth of your being. Do this not to obtain something, but because it is the truest expression of who you are. The monad always responds when called upon correctly, because in calling upon it, you are only calling upon yourself. The moment for this final rediscovery is not tomorrow, nor after another book or course. The moment is now, at this very instant. In the silence between these words, the truth is available. The door is open. The illusion of separation is maintained only by your continued belief in it. By withdrawing your attention and your belief from this illusion, it dissolves like a ghost exposed to sunlight. You don't need to fight the darkness. You just need to turn on the light. The journey of awakening doesn't end with a finish line or a certificate. It ends with the recognition that there never was a journey, only a veil to be lifted. And once the veil is lifted, you see that you have always been home, always been whole, always been united with the source of all life. You haven't found the truth. You've realized that you are the truth. And that realization, lived and integrated, is true freedom. Therefore, the cycle is complete. What began as a whispered secret ends as a lived truth. What was an external quest reveals itself as an internal discovery. What was a mystery becomes your daily reality. The final question is no longer who am I? The question becomes, what do I, as a unified consciousness, choose to create and experience next? And with that question, the true adventure of your life, the life of a conscious creator, finally begins. If you've stayed with us this far, your attunement to this frequency is clear. More than just hearing these words, the secret lies in how they resonate within you now. To seal this moment, I want you to write below. What physical sensation or thought arose when you accessed this code? Sharing your real experience helps anchor the learning. If you found this knowledge helpful and wish to support our mission of bringing this wisdom to more people, the link to contribute is in the pinned comment. Your help, of any amount, is what keeps this channel alive. If you feel someone needs this awakening, please share it. Your practice doesn't end here. Click on the video that's now appearing on your screen to understand how to integrate this state of awareness into your daily life. See you there.